make sure that when it comes next year, we send this government home.
Gitungo, Mzalendo Watch has been there to monitor, has been monitoring elections, the campaigns, the results. Pretty much the election process is where you are. But that notwithstanding, now when you look at Mzalendo Trust, the way it is, what are the concerns that you see, and how can Kenyans as well plug into these conversations to ensure that they do not partake in an illegality? Because if it is budgeted corruption, and Kenyans, because we also hear opposition leaders say, ukipewa wewe kura lakini unajua kura iko wapi, still perpetuating an illegality. How do Kenyans plug into this and ensure that they're able to say no and let's engage into agenda politics?
Well, thank you. And this conversation of campaign financing is timely, because just today morning we were having a CSO consultative forum whereby we were having an engagement with election management bodies in Kenya, number one of them being the IEBC. And this conversation came up. Also, I would like to laud IEBC for publishing these regulations on capping the amount of money that politicians are supposed to use. But that does not mean that if it's capped at 500 billion, that is the amount of money that you're supposed to use during the campaign. It's a good starting point as a country, because we know our political marketplace has been an arena whereby all sorts of money has found its place, including illicit financial flows. People cannot really tell the source of their money. But again, also on the flip side, capping or also bringing in this issue of IBC capping the amount of money, it's also an issue on their side, because the big question that we ask, will IBC be in a position to monitor the money that is being used in the campaign? It's a Pandora's box also, because knowing IBC, its capabilities, has it added itself another role that will be difficult for it to implement. But it's important. It is important for politicians to be capped. It is important, far much important, for them to even declare the sources of their finances. We've seen even Kenyans contributing to campaign. We need to see politicians declaring the sources of their funds, because in this particular area, that's where even our politicians are captured. Because if you are financed 100% by someone, an institution, then you will have allegiance to that particular person or that particular institution, and not citizens. Now again, when we go to Kenyans, this place, the issue of money in our politics is what brings a lot of dirt in our politics. And if we are in a position to sanitize this area by enlightening Kenya, by sensitizing them, maybe at some point to even refuse to take, when it comes to them being given money by politicians, to refuse to take this particular money. But again, we are in an environment where poverty is at a very high level.
How can you refuse that?
It's very difficult. But again, when we talk about politics, looking at it from a perspective of ethics, from a perspective of politics, of ideology, this issue of voter bribery is a problem in our country. But let me also touch on an issue of the incumbent government. So when IBC caps the amount of money that is supposed to be used, and the issue of source of your finances, will they be in a position to pin down the incumbent when they use public resources to finance their campaign? So it's a whole issue.
And that's where I wanted to bring in Wakili. Because you see, Wakili, when you look at the election is a democratic right, but it's pegged on a law. It is a legal process that would then give people the right and the power to rule or to manage the country on behalf of Mwananchi. Now, IEBC has come out, yes, and said, these are the caps that you're putting in, these are the ceiling that you're putting in. But I'm not hearing anyone talk about the fact that where we sit today, individuals have been campaigning for 4 years. You know, so even as we talk about the cap of 4 billion, 500 billion shillings, already one would argue some have surpassed that by fact that they started campaigning way back. So where is fairness when it comes to others who will start campaigning as enshrined in the law when the election process kicks in? And how then does IEBC plug in to ensure that there is justice?
Yeah, so that's why we always say in our country, the biggest problem is governance. You see, you come up with a beautiful institution like IABC, you set up rules for everyone across the board. Then you actually realize that the government is using choppers and using government money to reach to most remote areas of the country. And when my brother Kemosi says they may be cash strapped, it's not because they are poor in a wrong way, it's because that is the nature of the people. They don't have those extra funds. And then a Kenya Kwanza government, because it knows Wamere is campaigning and they see his account is having 2 million and they are having 200 plus million. So they overrun you. So, and that's what they are trying to do even for Sifuna. You can hear that people are talking about, he's not ready, he's young, does he have money, you see. So the problem is governance, where institutions are created, then government or those in power weaponize the institution. So that now, when the institution, when a pro-government person is correct, is wrong, they will not go for him. But when you are in the opposition and you try to spend maybe 10 million in a weekend, they will exactly itemize how you spent 10 million. And then probably you even be disqualified. So the problem of our country has always been bad governance. And that bad governance actually starts from government. Otherwise, Kenyans are very innovative. You know that Kenyans are very innovative. In terms of, if you ask us where the money comes from, what my sister has already articulated, it comes from the CDF. You may want to ask where is evidence and all that, but we are innovative and very intelligent. And Kenya as a whole, except how we are really being mishandled by poor and bad governance, Kenyans are very intelligent. They can tell you, we want so and so. And this is why when Gachagua says, last weekend they were receiving 3,000 and then they switch off the phone, it resonates with people because that's what people want. Now, because the government has shown us that they have money, people want the money anyway. Whether you call it illegal, whether you call it a crime, at IBC regulations, whatever, if they bring the money mashinani, and it happened, Mheshimiwa, you haven't mentioned it, but it happened when the 4 MCAs were being re-elected in Kisii. We all saw that. The government spent money like it's a presidential campaign. True. People ate money. But they said, then in Kisii, you demonstrated this before Olkarau actually, because they picked all non-government MCAs. Yep. And yet they had actually really poured money. So I think the problem is poor and bad governance.
Bad governance.